I'm Amanda.
I'm Emily.
And this is Two Moms, One Mic.
Right there.
Today we decided we are going to talk about being moms to toddlers.
Yes.
And we are both blessed with boys. So that's just a whole special breed.
But that's also our disclaimer.
Yes, that we're a little bit biased because we have boys.
Yeah.
And if you're a girl mom, bless you, okay? Because you don't know what it's like to have a son. You
Or
can never
two of
have
them.
They don't shut off ever.
No, they don't.
They're calling me. It's okay, I'll call them back. So, why don't you start? Because you've been through the toddler phase, and now you've witnessed the other side of coming out of it.
Well, I'm still very much
you have
Massimo's only 2.
I know, but I'm talking about John Franco too. Does it get better? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
No, because they're gonna go to school, and then they're gonna meet people at school, and then those people at school are gonna ruin everything that you've ever taught your kids, because your kid is basically Play-Doh, and so they just want to be cool like their friends at school. Rhymes. And yeah, so it doesn't matter how you parent your kid, the kids out there are just gonna ruin them. So there's that. So I'm navigating that all the while of navigating a 2-year-old who it's weird because I forget that he's 2 because I have an older one. So it's really hard because the older one will get really upset that the younger one's bothering him and stuff like that. And I have to be he's just a baby. Remember that? Or I'm just a baby. Yeah.
Sometimes you forget that he's.
And also, Massimo at 2 is totally different than Gianfranco at 2. And that's another problem because you get into, the comparative part. And Gianfranco is always, beyond his years. Anyone who ever meets him, always wow, he's an old soul. He just did things really quickly.
Yeah.
And that kind of made it difficult, too. Because then, you forget that, when he was 2, he was acting like he was 4, and then it was hard. It's very hard to navigate that when you have a mature toddler.
Yeah, because she's right. John Franco is pretty mature.
Yeah, so that kind of makes it difficult too. So when you have Massimo, who's the true definition of a toddler, it's exhausting. It's a lot.
Antonio's definitely the Energizer Bunny. My son doesn't sit down to eat. He puts a piece of food in his mouth, does a lap, and then comes get his next piece of food, and that just works for him. And that's how he eats at home. I mean, I've witnessed him sitting at daycare, and I'm just why don't you do that for me, buddy? Why don't you sit? But I think when he's at daycare, he's definitely influenced with what everyone else is doing, and at home, he's just you would think my child had sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I bought this kid a trampoline because I just needed another outlet for him to release energy. Yeah. And again, everyone's my friend has a daughter, and she can sit there so beautifully, just a little angel, and it's just why don't boys do that? They're I remember going to my doctor this year, and she's oh, what did you have, a girl or a boy? And I said a boy. And she goes, oh, he doesn't have ADHD. This is what my doctor said to me. She's I thought my son had ADHD. Yeah. She's he's 6 now. She's no, he's just a boy. Yeah. She's trust me. And it was wow, because in my head, I'm oh, I think this kid might get diagnosed with ADHD. Typical mom, with today's generation, we're quick to put labels on these kids all the time. But it has crossed my mind, does this kid have ADHD? And my doctor just, reassuring my thoughts without even knowing my thoughts, being no, he doesn't have ADHD, he's just a boy. I was okay, so they're definitely
see, with Gianfranco, even though he can get crazy and wild, even when he was smaller, he would listen. So if we let's say went to Wonderland, and let's say he was walking around, and I say stop, wait for mommy, whatever, he stops and waits. So
does
now
Massimo listen?
No, his ears, I don't think they're attached. I think we need a MRI or something to figure out if his ears are actually attached, because and that's another thing too. Massimo is the one that if he runs off and you call him, he's not gonna answer you. Sometimes we'll play hide and go seek in the house, bro. I can't find him because he won't answer. And you can be hey, okay, we're done. No. Silent.
That's a blessing. Let him be.
No. And no, it's bad. It's bad. So with Massimo, he's the leash child. We went to Ripley's. I had him on a leash.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, wow, that's genius. I said, yeah, because this one's a runner. He's a track star.
Yeah.
Bye. And he won't look at you if you call his name. Where Gianfranco, if he ran off and you called his name, he would stop. So even that, to navigate that is different and very challenging.
And, like, I find it because, like, if you can tell, like, Emily and I have very strong personalities. And, like, I just always thought my son would listen to me because of my strong personality. But I think, like, I just got him used to my personality way too soon. And I'd be like, stop it right now. Like, literally in a voice like that.
Yeah.
And he's 1.5 and he looks at me and he, like, does exactly the opposite. And I'm just like, but look at me, I'm so tough. And then, like, my nephew will hear me talking to my son and he's, like, quivering, like... And I'm just like, oh, okay. So it's just, like, my son's used to,
other
like,
children fear me. It's just not my own. Okay.
Child doesn't... But yeah, no, Antonio definitely, like, he's getting better. He doesn't listen. He's definitely, like, picking up on things from, like, daycare to, like you said, those bad habits. Like, he now is, like, a mind kid and he bites. And he never used to bite.
Another big difference between my kids is because Gianfranco was a COVID baby and I always had to play with him. And, you know, when you have your second, you kind of like, I'm going to have 2 kids so that they can play with each other and, like, leave me alone. Massimo is a much better independent player, independent person than Gianfranco. Like, Gianfranco constantly like, can you play with me? Can you play with me? Can you play with me? And I'm like, bro, I made you a brother. I don't know if you see him over there.
Yeah, someone to play
with.
Like,
go do that. So, like, he constantly looks for that one-on-one time with, like, either me or his father. Where Massimo, like, if he will actually, you can watch him independently play. And I'm like, wow, this is so nice. This is like what you see on Bluey. The kid's just doing stuff, you know?
See, like, Antonio, like, he will play a little bit by himself, but he wants us, like, he'll be like, Mama, sit down. Like, he wants us sitting there playing with him. Like, he wants me coloring with him. He wants me doing
I just think the
things
firstborn is just used to having all the attention. And unfortunately, even if you have more than one kid, they just still want that attention. Yeah. Like, Gianfranco's a different kid if I just do something with him on his own. Like, if he's going through, like, a lot of, like, behavioral things, or I find that he's not listening as much, I'll, like, say, okay, we're having, like, a mommy and Gianfranco day, and then it's, like, an instant reset.
Yeah, I guess it's like what you said, right? The first kid gets, like, all the attention, and, like, when you have your second kid, like, you're giving them attention, but, like, they don't get all your attention anymore. So, like, it kind of makes sense why, like, Massimo's a little bit more independent, because he wasn't ever used to having your attention around the clock. Yeah.
So, Massimo seeks out attention from Gianfranco, where Gianfranco will seek out attention from me. Mm-hmm. So, no one's happy in this situation, because it's like, they could just play with each other, and that would be great, but they don't do that.
Everyone always
and, like, Massimo, right? like longs to play with Gianfranco, and, like, Gianfranco can't be bothered.
Maybe it's, like, the age, too, right? Like, the 2
I mean, I hope that it does get better, because otherwise, why did I have 2 kids? Like, sorry, but I didn't have 2 kids so that they could just play with me. Like, as fun as that sounds, I have a life too. Yeah. Say what you want by that comment. I really don't care. I have a life, and I know you have a life too. Realism. But the trolls will just troll anyways. So.
I know, but the realism of it, like, again, we always go back to, like, Instagram and the facade of, like, social media and being a mom, and, like, again, I'm not a gentle parent, and neither is Emily, and I'm definitely that type of parent. Like, we went to Wonderland yesterday for Winterfest, and my son was in line, and he doesn't have patience for line right now, so he'll stand there and scream, and I'll let him scream, because I don't have the energy to tell him to stop crying. And
it's going on deaf ears.
Yeah, right? So
they're not at a point to even take that in.
Even, like, when I get people looking at me, like, I wonder how, does it bother you? It doesn't bother me. Like, I wonder if other moms feel judged. Like, I know when I see...
I know I'm not abusing him. I'm not acting in a way that you need to judge me. At the end of the day, that's how kids vocalize themselves. They yell, they cry, they scream. They don't have the tools to, articulate it properly, especially at almost 2 years old and 2 years old. No. So, I was at Ripley's Aquarium, and because Massimo didn't have a nap that day, he screamed the entire time. Yeah. Because he just wanted to do things that we couldn't do. And Ripley's is... First of all, it's pitch black in there. It's super dark. I don't know if it's very dark in there. Yeah, it's dark. And it's very busy at all times of the day. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? I'm sorry. If you're going to scream, but I'm going to keep you safe, judge me all you want. I'm not like, doing anything. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. Like, again, like, when I've witnessed kids screaming, I don't judge parents. I kind of want to help them. I don't feel bad for them. I'm like that mom, like, do you need help? Like, but I don't do that because then I feel like parents would think I'm judging, but I actually want to help.
Yeah, I know. So even that sometimes can
I know,
be
I want to ask,
judging,
like, people, like, do you need help? Because I honestly feel bad, and I know how frustrated I get when my son's, like, losing it, and I can't get him out under control.
Yeah.
And now I just, like, let him be, and, like, if people want to turn and stare, but, like, my mental health of, like, just like dealing with this way and not addressing behavior that is happening like, for no reason.
Like I said, at the end of the day, you know, like, the child's not hurt, they're not starving, they're not bleeding, like, there's nothing wrong. That's just how they're going to vocalize stuff. Yeah. Like, Massimo, I don't know, he has this level of entitlement that he thinks that every time we go into a store, he has to leave with something. And it's funny how, like, every freaking store just... You're forced to walk past a toy or some type of child thing. Costco, oh, we have to go over here. Marshall's, oh, over there. Like, he knows where the toys are at every single store. And I can't avoid it. And he'll scream. He'll scream bloody murder. He'll scream till the cows come home. And you know what? You're not dying. So it's going to be okay. You're going to live. You'll live to see another day. But no, you don't need another fire truck. You don't need another monster truck. You don't need another Halloween costume. Because when the Halloween costumes were out, he was all over that.
He wanted one a day.
Yeah, literally. He thought that he was getting a new wardrobe. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I can't do it. And if you're going to stare at me because you don't know what the situation is, then I really don't care. Or the worst is, like, if I just give him my phone to be like, here, distract you watching something, the looks I get when people see my child on a phone is amazing. It's amazing.
See, like, I haven't started the phone out in public yet with Antonio. Like, I'm trying to, that's just my choice, and I haven't needed it yet. I've done pacifier, but now he's at, like, an age where whenever we go out, he wants to walk.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to be in the stroller, he wants to walk. And I can see myself slowly, like, needing to, like, get him to sit still and, like, just watch the phone. But I even remember before I became a mom, I'm going to tell this story. I was on the subway and I was watching these kids like sit on iPads and I said to myself, I'll never be that mom. And I think I said it out loud to a friend and another lady said, never say never.
Yeah.
And now becoming a mom, like definitely before I became a mom, I judged all of you. But now that I'm a mom, I'm like, wow, this is why
say parenting's the easiest when you don't have a child to parent. That's you're the best parent when you actually don't have any kids.
When I'm like, why do people put an iPad in front of their kid to eat? Like, just eat. It's like, oh yeah, you don't want them to like die and like starve, so yeah, we're gonna put the iPad.
Or you don't want them running to every single table
or that
around
too,
them.
Like,
yeah, no, and this is difficult for me too because that's not who Gianfranco is. Gianfranco is not an iPad tablet kid. Like when he's at home, he'll play like games on it. But he wasn't the kid that, like, needed one to eat at restaurants, be in the stroller, be in the cart at the store. Like, he was just comfortable being in, like, the presence of where we were. But once again, he listened. Mm-hmm. Massimo is a different breed. And sometimes I just need to, like, reel it in and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, you're going to do what works for you. And, like, it does become... That, number one, it's picking your battles into, like, survival mode, I was going to say, right? Like, I definitely, like, mentally, I never came out and said it, but I judged a lot of my friends, and I actually apologized to some of them after. I'm like, I mentally judged you for, like, your choices. I actually apologized to one of my friends, and she's like, thanks, you didn't have to do that, because I didn't know. I said, but I felt like I should apologize, because I did. I judged a lot of things you did, and now I'm, like, doing the exact same things like she does. Because you're gonna do what works. You have to survive. Like it really does become survival mode because as a mom, you're like with that child 90% of the time. Like it's not dad with them. Yeah. It's usually mom. And I wanted to keep going on this and going on how like Emily and I definitely aren't gentle parents and even being out and getting judged. I remember I was at a birthday party this summer. And, like, honestly, like, sometimes, like, I was alone with my son at the birthday. Like, you just also, like, want a break sometimes. Like, when you're at a birthday, I was hoping, like, everyone would just entertain my child, you know? But anyways, he was running around with, like, a bunch of kids in the bocce courts. So I closed the gate because I'm like, it's like a massive playpen. And a bunch of moms are like, Amanda, Antonio's over here. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys are there, right?
I've been in those scenarios.
And they're like, oh. And I'm like, I'm like, the gate's closed, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, are these people judging me that I'm not like standing
No,
here?
no,
like,
I totally get what you mean.
My son, like, he's in a massive playpen. He's not gonna run away. Like, if he needs me, like, just holler at me. I'm gonna be over
like
here.
unless like there's blood or tears, like why you? Right? I don't need to like physically watch him.
Right, like
all the time.
I'm hoping that some other mom that was there also was like paying a little bit of attention.
Let's cover the gap.
Let's be a team. Let's be a village. Like help me out. Like let me have that break. So thank you. I definitely am that mom that takes like birthday parties as like a little bit of a break where it's like, can I sit down and let my child just be him and with a certain extent, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it really does take a village and. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, yeah, like
no, so like I have one that's in school, and then the other one he's at home with me, and even that like, you know how many times like on a regular basis people are like, oh like is Massimo in daycare? Is Massimo in daycare? I'm like no, why should I pay for him to be at daycare? I'm at home. I'm like oh, it's like actually more shocking to hear that like a 2-year-old's at home than it is to hear that they're at daycare. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I always find that very interesting. I mean, if you need daycare, use daycare. I don't need it right now. Like, it would make no sense for me to be at home and to pay daycare. Like, it just doesn't really make sense for us. But you do see, like, a difference. Like, when Gianfranco was in preschool, it was a smaller group. The class was only, like, 16 kids. He was still, like, sweet and cuddly and all that. And now that he's, like, in SK, he'll come home, oh, mommy, this one swore. And, like, the way that he talks is different. And the things that he likes, like, I feel like he only likes them because the kids at school like it. And I'm like, and I try to, like, just tell him. I said, you know what? Like, be you. You don't need to like everything that other people like. You don't need to have, like, the same interests as other people. Like, you don't need to talk like how these other kids talk. Like, you just be you. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. Excuse me. And, if they don't like you, it's okay because you're gonna meet so many other people.
We're going into like school age children, but I want to continue with this because like working in a school and like seeing the interest of kids nowadays, it's like you don't see anyone playing with Barbies anymore. Like the girls, you like see girls in grade 3 and grade 4, which is like 8 and 9 years old. Like they want Sephora gift cards as a gift, and it's like. I think I started putting makeup on my face in grade 8. So when I was
I started putting makeup on my face like last year.
Like no, but showing like an interest in like makeup, hair, like grade 7,
that's
8.
TikTok.
And now, nowadays, like you just see these kids are so quick to grow up.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And it makes me sad for sure.
It does.
Again, like as parents, we can't. I'm gonna say it. We can't monitor everything because you're not monitoring everything. Let's be real.
No, and I think about like I kind of say to myself, I'm like, you pretty much like only have your kid for like the first 4 years, like because once they start like mainstream school, you kind of like lose them a little bit.
I mean, again, they're being influenced by like other people, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna tell a story because I feel like it's important. Like a friend of mine, her son is in kindergarten and. It was Pink Shirt Day, and if you know what Pink Shirt Day is, it's a day for bullying, so it's a day to spread kindness. And a little boy in kindergarten went to school in an orange shirt and looked at the other boys and said, pink is for girls. And, like, just, like, this whole situation, like, even happening is, like, one, we got to do better as parents. Like, sorry, I'm going to say that. But it's, like, he's 4 years old and you basically created a little bully now because you're telling him pink is for girls and you couldn't even put your child in a pink shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a color in the end. It's a color. Like pink does not make you a certain way. Just like my favorite color is blue. It doesn't make me a certain way that I like a boy color. Yeah. Like that's my favorite color. So it's just even as parents, like we need to like try to do better and just even watch what we say around kids. Like my son's 2, but I can already tell he's always listening and he's paying attention. And yesterday we were driving home towards our house and he knew we were going home and he started screaming and saying no because he didn't want to go home. He wanted to, and he's only 2. So like we underestimate how smart kids are, but they're very smart and they're always listening and observing everything that we're saying and doing.
Massimo like knows like when I'm on like my parents' street, he'd be like, oh, we're going to Nana's house?
Right.
Like,
and like
they know.
That's where like we step in for sure. This topic went all over the place, but it's all good. It's all good. That's where we step in as parents and like we definitely need to do better. Like again, being a parent in today's world is so hard. I always say I feel like we have it way harder than our parents.
Well, that's the thing because you can do what you believe is right, and other parents will do what they believe is right, and then sometimes our children will meet, and you might not agree with how other people parent their kids, because all of a sudden now your kid's coming home with habits, and it's like, well, and I mean, at the end of the day, you can only control what happens in your own household.
Yeah.
So, I really try to control what happens in my household, because I want my kids to, represent me and my husband and represent our values and go out and be good human beings. Mm-hmm. And I tell my kids all the time, I said, if you're going to be anything in this world, be a good human being, because there are enough shitty human beings, and we don't need any more shitty human beings. And they're like, okay, mommy. I'm like, good job.
Don't you just love her?
I talk to them like that. I don't care.
Yeah, she does. She actually talks to her kids like that. It's not joking.
Yeah, so, and that's all you can do, right? And when they come home and, hopefully they're comfortable enough to talk to you about things that maybe make them feel uncomfortable or things that they saw, then you have to work through that in your own household. But, once they start getting influence from other people, it makes parenting a little bit more difficult.
And you just got to keep doing the best that you can.
Yeah, right? Trust that you gave them the right tools to be good human beings.
And again, I'm going a little bit off topic, but again, your kid's not supposed to be your best friend. I'm sorry, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Again, someone who even worked in a high school and seeing how parents were so fixated on becoming besties with their children, I think it's so important to have a healthy relationship with your child, but you still need to parent them. If you have a teenager and she loves you, you're not doing it right, because I can say in my teen years, my mom and I fought very often. I'm sure it wasn't easy, her raising a girl. I am definitely that girl that gives a lot of pushback, and I have a lot of attitude, so I don't think it was easy. I loved my mom, but we weren't besties in my teen years. In my 20s, I could say it was full circle. That's what being a parent is. Your kids need you as a baby. Then they get older, they don't want you anymore, and then they start a family of their own, and they're like, oh, we need you again. And that's what parenting is it's
but they also have to do things on their own for them. Unfortunately, it's you appreciate something when it's not there, so you kind of go do the fuck up things, and then
they need to learn, they need to make the mistakes, and they can't always have honestly an adult fighting their battles, because there's gonna come a point in their life where they need to be adults themselves, right?
Yeah.
Especially in their 20s and all that.
Yeah.
But definitely went all over the place. Started with toddlers, moved our way up. It's all good in the hood, right?
Yeah.
This is all about the journey of the podcast.
Exactly.
Again, if you want to hear other topics, have questions, comments, put it all below, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you.